I signed the transfer papers at 2:47 inches the morning. My hand didn't shake, not once. The notary was my old station chief, Mike Patterson, sitting across from me at his kitchen table in his bathrobe, his reading glasses halfway down his nose. The only sound was the scratch of pen on paper and his wife's sleep machine humming from upstairs. Daniel had no idea what I'd just done. He thought the house was already as good as his. Let me back up. My name is William Harrison. Most people call me Bill. I'm 64 years old, retired from Phoenix Fire Department after 38 years. And until 8 months ago, I thought I knew my son. Not perfectly, but I thought I knew him. Daniel is my only child. My wife, Susan, died last May. Heart attack. She was 61. We'd just started talking about traveling, about finally taking that Alaska cruise she'd always wanted. Then one Tuesday morning, she didn't wake up. Daniel flew in from San Diego that same day. He was there when they took her body. He helped me pick out the casket. He stood next to me at the funeral and squeezed my shoulder when I couldn't speak. His wife, Cassandra, brought casseroles. Their 2 boys, Jake and Liam, my grandsons, drew me pictures. Daniel stayed for 10 days. He mowed the lawn. He fixed the garbage disposal Susan had been asking me to look at for 3 months. He sat with me on the back patio at night when I couldn't sleep, and we didn't talk, just sat there with our beers watching the desert stars. Then he went back to San Diego, back to his job as a sales manager, back to his life, and I stayed in our house in North Phoenix. The house Susan and I bought in 1989 for $127,000. The house that's now worth $780,000 in a neighborhood where every other property is being bought by California investors. For 7 months, I managed. I had my routines. Coffee at 5 in the morning because old habits from the firehouse die hard. Breakfast with my buddy Carlos at the diner on Cave Creek Road. Tuesday poker nights with the guys from my old station. I worked on my cars. I've got 3 vintage Mustangs in the garage, a 67 Fastback, a 69 Boss 302, and a 71 Mach 1. Susan used to joke that I loved those cars more than her. I'd tell her the cars didn't complain when I left motor oil on the kitchen counter. She'd laugh. God, I miss that laugh. Then December came. Daniel called on a Thursday. Not Sunday, our usual day. Thursday afternoon while I was under the Fastback changing the oil. Dad, we need to talk. My first thought was health. Cancer. Something bad. But no, it's Cassandra's parents. They sold their house, moving into assisted living. They need us to help financially. And Daniel's company. Restructuring. His position isn't secure. And the boys. Jake needs braces. Liam's got learning issues, needs a specialist. The bills are crushing us. Dad, we're drowning. I felt that old instinct, the one that never dies even when your kid is 39 years old. How much do you need? I asked. There was this pause, this long pause. Dad, it's not about a loan. It's bigger than that. We've been thinking, that house is too much for you. What if something happens? What if you fall? You're alone. What if there's a fire and you can't get out? You were a firefighter. You know the statistics. He painted it carefully, logically. They'd move in, help with the house. I wouldn't be alone. The boys could finally have a real yard, not a postage stamp in San Diego. Daniel could work remote, take his time finding something better. I can take care of myself, I said. The words came out harder than I meant. I know, Dad. I know. But Susan would want you to have family around, wouldn't she? He used her name like a skeleton key, and I let him. They moved in January. Daniel, Cassandra, Jake who's 11, and Liam who's 9. Suddenly my quiet house was full of noise. Kids yelling, Cassandra's workout videos in the living room, Daniel on work calls, pacing, talking about margins and quarterly projections. It was chaotic, but I admit, at first, it felt alive. It felt like maybe Susan's death hadn't killed everything. Daniel took over the master bedroom. Just temporarily, Dad, until we find our footing. You don't mind, right? The guest room's perfectly fine. I moved my clothes into the smaller room where Susan used to do her sewing. I didn't argue. It seemed petty. The first few weeks were okay. Daniel helped me detail the 67. Cassandra made dinners, though they were always these grain bowl things with kale that I'd never heard of. The boys were polite. We were a family. But then small things started bothering me. I noticed Daniel going through my mail before I got to it. When I asked, he said, Dad, You let that water bill sit for 3 weeks. I'm just making sure nothing slips through. I didn't let it sit. I pay my bills on the 5th of every month. Have for 40 years. I saw Cassandra taking pictures of the house. The living room. The kitchen I'd renovated with Susan in 2018. The garage with my cars. For my Instagram, she said brightly. My followers love home renovation content. I'm documenting our journey. Our journey? This was my house. Daniel started talking about real estate a lot. You see, the Mitchell's place sold for $850K? This neighborhood is insane, Dad. You're sitting on a gold mine. He said it like I should be excited, like my home was a stock ticker. One night in February, Daniel brought out paperwork. We were watching TV. Cassandra was putting the boys to bed. He had a folder, a thick one. Dad, I talked to a financial guy. You don't have a trust set up, right? I've got a will, I said. A will goes through probate, takes forever, costs a fortune. A living trust is cleaner. Everything transfers automatically. No court, no delays, no lawyers eating up the estate. He opened the folder. I had these drawn up, basic trust documents. You'd still own everything, obviously. But when the time comes, whenever that is, hopefully not for 20 years, it all moves smoothly to your beneficiaries. No mess. There was a yellow sticky tab where I was supposed to sign. Something in my gut tightened. Susan used to say I had good instincts. Saved my life more than once on the job. I need my own lawyer to look at this, I said. Daniel's face did something. Just for a second. A flicker. Annoyance. Frustration. Then the concerned sun mask slid back on. Of course, Dad. Absolutely. I just thought, save some money. These things run $1,500, $2,000 easy. But yeah, whatever makes you comfortable. I didn't sign. The next morning, I called Tom Brennan. Tom had been our family attorney since 1995. He'd handled our wills, the house refinance, a dispute with a contractor in 2010. Bill, Tom said when I described the situation, don't sign anything. Not without bringing it to me first. Anything. I made an appointment for Monday. I didn't tell Daniel. That's when I started really watching. Paying attention the way you do on a scene when something doesn't feel right, when the smoke pattern is wrong, when your gut says there's something behind that door you haven't opened yet. I noticed Daniel had somehow gotten himself onto my bank account. I saw the statement. Joint owner. When I asked, he said, Dad, what if you're in the hospital? What if someone needs to pay bills? I did it online. You gave me your password, remember? I didn't remember. I never give out my passwords. I noticed Cassandra going through the filing cabinet in my office. Looking for the car titles, she said. Daniel wants to get them appraised, for insurance purposes. The titles were in a safe deposit box. She wouldn't find them there. I noticed conversations stopping when I walked into rooms. The way Daniel and Cassandra would be talking, then suddenly go quiet when my footsteps creaked the hallway floor. One night I couldn't sleep. It was 1:30 in the morning. I got up for water, went downstairs, and I heard voices in the kitchen. Low voices, angry whispers. We've been here 2 months, Cassandra was saying. When does this actually happen? Keep your voice down. That was Daniel. I'm serious. Jake needs those braces. My parents need help. Your cars alone are worth $150,000. You could sell one, just one, and you'd have enough for, 2 years? They're his cars. So we wait until he dies? Is that the plan? We don't know when he's going to die, Daniel. He's 64. He could live another 30 years. Look at his dad. Grandpa Harrison lived to 94. Then we need to move faster. The trust documents are ready. If he just signs them, he wants his lawyer to look at them. So we need a different angle. I stood in the hallway. My heart was doing things it shouldn't. The kind of things that would have gotten me pulled from active duty. What angle? Daniel asked. Capacity. My mom did it with my aunt. Aunt Linda was spending money like crazy, making bad decisions. Mom got her evaluated, got power of attorney, put her in a memory care place, sold her condo. Perfectly legal. Dad doesn't have dementia. Does anyone know that for sure? He's 64, not 84. He forgets things. You've seen it. He forgot Jake's birthday. He called Liam by the wrong name. No, he didn't. We tell people he did. Cassandra. Look, I'm not saying we do anything bad. I'm saying we protect him. This house is wasting away with him in it. He spends his days in that garage with those ridiculous cars. We could sell everything. Get him a nice place. A senior community where he'd have activities and friends. Use the proceeds to invest in something smart. It's not stealing. It's planning. It's what responsible kids do. But nothing. Think about our boys. Think about my parents. Think about us. We deserve this. He worked his whole life so his family would be secure. We're his family. This is securing us. I went back upstairs. Didn't sleep. Lay there staring at the ceiling. Susan and I had painted together in 2005. Cream white. She'd gotten paint in her hair. I called Tom Brennan from my truck the next morning, parked at the Circle K on Tatum. "I need to see you today," I said. Emergency. Tom cleared his schedule. I brought him the trust papers Daniel had given me. Tom read them with the expression of someone who's just found black mold behind the walls. "Bill," he said slowly, "if you sign this, you're transferring ownership of your house and all assets into a trust where Daniel is the sole trustee. You'd have no legal claim. He could sell your house tomorrow and you couldn't stop him. But I'm the beneficiary. Says right there, you're the beneficiary during your lifetime. But the trustee has full discretion over distributions, meaning Daniel decides what you get and when. If he decides you need to be in a facility, he puts you there. You have no say." My hands were cold. "That's legal?" "It's legal if you sign voluntarily. That's why these documents are dangerous in the wrong hands." "Bill, I need to ask you something. Do you feel safe in your home?" I thought about those whispers, about Cassandra photographing my house, about Daniel and my bank account, about them watching me like I was a problem to solve. "I don't know," I said. Tom leaned forward. "Here's what we do. First, we protect your assets. I'm drawing up real documents, a trust with you as trustee, with safeguards. Second, I'm putting you in touch with someone, Detective Maria Gonzalez. She specializes in elder financial exploitation. I don't need. Bill, listen. What you've described, what's in these papers, this is textbook. I've seen it before. It starts small. Moving in to help. Taking over finances. Then it escalates. I need you to take this seriously." She was maybe 45, looked like she'd worked plenty of hard cases and hadn't forgotten any of them. "How long have they been in your house?" she asked. 2 months. "Have they tried to limit your contact with friends?" I thought about it. Daniel always has a reason I shouldn't go to poker night. Says I look tired. Says I should rest. And Carlos. My buddy Carlos. Daniel says he's a bad influence. Says Carlos drinks too much. Gets me riled up about politics. Maria nodded like I'd confirmed something. Classic isolation pattern. "What about finances? Do they know your full situation?" I never discussed specifics, but Daniel's been asking about my pension, about my savings, about what the house would appraise for, and the cars. "You own them outright?" "Outright. 67 Fastback, 69 Boss, 71 Mach 1. Combined value maybe $150,000 to the right buyer." Maria pulled out a legal pad. "Here's what I think is happening. They're building a case for diminished capacity. The talk about you forgetting things, the suggestion you need oversight. If they can get a doctor to say you're not mentally competent, they can take control, even if you're perfectly fine. How do we stop it? We document everything. I'm going to give you some equipment, small cameras. Audio recording is legal in Arizona with one-party consent. That's you. We're going to record their conversations when you're not around. Establish a pattern. Then we go to Adult Protective Services, possibly criminal charges." Criminal charges? "Financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult is a felony in Arizona, Mr. Harrison. If they're attempting to defraud you, that's serious time." I sat there thinking about Daniel as a kid. Daniel learning to ride his bike in this same driveway. Daniel's high school graduation. Daniel crying at his mother's funeral. "You're sure?" I asked. "Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe they're just stressed." "Mr. Harrison," Maria said, and her voice was gentle. "In my experience, people don't draw up fraudulent trust documents because they're stressed. They do it because they've chosen money over family. I'm sorry, but you need to protect yourself." We installed cameras over the next week. 3 of them. Kitchen, living room, hallway outside my bedroom. Maria also gave me a recording pen. "Keep this in your pocket always," she said. "For 2 weeks, I watched and recorded. And what I found broke something in me I didn't know could break. On camera, when I was at Carlos's place, Daniel and Cassandra went through my office systematically. They photographed documents. They copied bank statements. They found my password book, the one Susan made me keep. They took pictures of every page. I heard Daniel on the phone. "Yeah, we need a doctor who'll do the eval. Someone sympathetic. He's showing signs. Definitely forgetful. Gets confused about money. Trouble with dates." I wasn't showing any signs. My mind was as sharp as it had been at 30. I heard Cassandra on speakerphone with her friend Nicole. "We've got maybe 2 months before he figures it out. If we can get the capacity evaluation, get him declared incompetent, we move fast. Sell the house, sell those ridiculous cars, set him up in assisted living. The market's hot. We could clear $900,000 after everything." $900,000. That's what I was worth. That's what 38 years as a firefighter, 42 years of marriage, 64 years of life had been reduced to. $900,000. The worst was Jake, my 11-year-old grandson. I heard him ask Daniel, "Is Grandpa really sick? You keep saying he forgets stuff, but he seems fine to me." "Grandpa's getting old, buddy. Sometimes people seem okay, but they're not. We're taking care of him." Don't worry. He was teaching my grandson to lie, teaching him that using people was acceptable if you needed something. I called Tom. "I have everything," I said. Hours of recordings. Tom and Maria met together at Tom's office. They reviewed everything. Then Tom made calls. "We have 2 options," Tom said. 1, we file a criminal complaint now. 2, we set a trap. See how far they'll go. Build an airtight case. I want them out," I said. "Then here's the plan," Maria said. "We're going to give them an opportunity to show their full intentions. We're going to have everything documented. Here's what we did. I called a family meeting, told Daniel and Cassandra I'd been thinking about their trust suggestion, that I'd had a scare, chest pains, thought maybe it was a heart attack, that maybe I was being stubborn, that maybe they were right." Cassandra's face lit up. "Actually lit up. We just want what's best for you, Dad," Daniel said. He took my hand. His hand was cold. "I know," I said. "I've been stubborn. But I trust you. You're my son." We scheduled signing for Friday. Tom, playing his part, had drawn up documents that looked identical to the fraudulent trust, but were nothing. They transferred nothing. A test. Thursday night I pretended to go to bed early. "Big day tomorrow," I told them. At midnight, I crept down the hall. The camera was rolling. I heard them celebrating. "Tomorrow it's done," Cassandra was saying. "The house is basically ours." I already called that realtor, Monica. She says we can list at $820,000. Probably get multiple offers. "What about the cars?" That was Daniel. "We sell them separately. Car guys will pay premium. The fastback alone, $65,000 minimum." "What about Dad?" "We put him at Desert Haven. It's nice. Costs like $4,500 a month, but whatever. We'll have plenty." Finally, Cassandra. Finally we can breathe. Jake's braces. Liam's tutoring. That trip to Hawaii we've been planning. He's going to be upset. He's old. He'll adjust. And honestly, he has been declining. This is best for everyone. I stood in that hallway and I felt something I'd never felt toward my son. Not anger. Something colder. Resolve. Friday morning came. Tom arrived at 10. Daniel and Cassandra were dressed nice, professional, ready to play their parts. But I'd invited others. Detective Gonzalez, Adult Protective Services investigator Robert Walsh, and Mike Patterson, my old station chief who also happened to be a notary and a witness nobody could intimidate. Daniel saw them coming up the walk. His face went white. "Dad, what's going on?" "Sit down, Daniel." My voice was steady. "We need to talk." I'd prepared a script with Tom. I stuck to it. Over the past 2 months, I've been investigating suspicious activity regarding my finances and property. I've collected evidence of attempted financial exploitation, fraud, and conspiracy to illegally obtain control of my assets. Cassandra stood up. "This is insane. We've been helping you." "Sit down, Mrs. Harrison." That was Detective Gonzalez. It wasn't a suggestion. We played the recordings. All of them. The midnight conversations about selling everything. The plans to have me declared incompetent. The discussions about putting me in Desert Haven. Daniel's face went from white to red to gray. Cassandra started crying. Jake looked confused. Liam was scared. Under Arizona law, Detective Gonzalez said, financial exploitation of a vulnerable adult is a Class 2 felony. Attempted fraud is also prosecutable. Mr. Harrison has provided sufficient evidence for us to proceed with charges. Dad, Daniel's voice cracked. Dad, please, we weren't really going to. You were. You absolutely were. You planned every detail down to which realtor you'd use. Tom spoke up. Daniel Harrison and Cassandra Harrison, you're hereby served with an eviction notice. 72 hours to vacate. All documents you removed from Mr. Harrison's office must be returned. All accounts you accessed without authorization are frozen, pending investigation. Robert Walsh from APS added, we'll be conducting a full financial audit to determine if any funds were misappropriated. You manipulative old man, Cassandra spat. You set us up. I protected myself, I said. From my own family, from people I loved. Do you understand what you've done? Not the legal part. Do you understand you destroyed this family for money, for a house and some cars? Marcus was crying, real tears. Dad, I'm sorry. We were desperate. The pressure, Cassandra's parents, the bills. I wasn't thinking. You thought clearly enough to plan this for months. You thought clearly enough to teach my grandsons to lie about me. You thought clearly enough to decide I was worth $900,000 to you. 900,000, Daniel. Is that what I am? A real estate transaction? They didn't arrest them that day. Financial crimes take time. But Detective Gonzalez made clear charges were coming. Daniel and Cassandra packed over the weekend. Jake hugged me goodbye, crying. I didn't know, Grandpa, I promise. I know, buddy, I said. This isn't your fault. Liam just looked scared. Too young for this ugliness. They left Sunday. The house was quiet again. Empty quiet. The legal process took 5 months. Daniel and Cassandra were charged with attempted financial exploitation and conspiracy to commit fraud. Their lawyer negotiated a plea. 5 years probation. Restitution for my legal costs, about $18,000. Mandatory financial counseling, restraining order, no jail time. Tom said that was typical. First offense, didn't actually steal anything. The system's not perfect. I sued them civil. Emotional distress, attempted fraud, invasion of privacy, won $55,000. They'll be paying that for years, but the money doesn't matter. None of it matters. I sit in my house now, the house Susan and I built our life in. I'm alone again. Carlos visits. Tom checks in. Mike and some of the guys from the old station come by for poker. I have my routines. Coffee at 5. Breakfast at the diner. I work on my cars. But I don't call anyone on Sundays anymore. I don't have grandsons who visit. I don't have a son who calls. Daniel sent an email last month. He's in therapy. He's working on himself. He realizes what he did. He wants forgiveness. Someday. Not now. He knows. But someday. I haven't responded. I don't know if I will. Here's what I learned. Greed doesn't announce itself. It doesn't show up with a mask and a gun. It creeps in slowly. It dresses up as concern, as practicality, as family responsibility. It tells you it's for your own good. It might even believe that. The warning signs were there. I felt them. That firefighter instinct that kept me alive for 38 years. But I ignored it because I wanted to believe in family. I wanted to believe my son was still the boy who cried at his mother's funeral. Maybe he was that boy once. Maybe pressure and money turned him into someone else. I don't know. I'll never know. What I do know is this. I protected myself. I did what I had to do, and I'd do it again. If you're reading this, if you're in a similar situation, listen to that voice in your gut. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Document everything. Get help from people who aren't emotionally involved. Protect yourself. Even from family. Especially from family. Because at the end of the day, you only get one life. One home. One sense of self. Nobody, not even your own children, has the right to take that from you for money. I'm 64 years old. I transferred my house into an ironclad trust at 2. 47 inches the morning with Tom as successor, trustee, and Mike as oversight. Nobody can touch it now. Nobody can manipulate me into giving it away. Daniel thought the house would be his. He was wrong. Every morning, I drink coffee on my back patio and watch the sun come up over the desert mountains. Susan and I loved. I'm glad I fought back. I'm glad I stood up, even if it cost me my son. Some things are worth more than money, and I sleep at night knowing I protected what Susan and I built together. Nobody gets to take that. Not for $900,000. Not for anything.